Who are you?
Lou Ramsey.
All right, it's June 19th, 2015, and you're telling us about your brother, Uncle Mike.
Uncle Mike. So Mike was 4 years older than me. He was born in 39, I was born in 43. And he was always 4 years ahead of me in school. So when I was eighth grader, he was a senior in high school. And he would, have little things he would do for entertainment. And I tried to join in on some of that entertainment. Sometimes there were things he was doing that I shouldn't have been doing. I know when he would drink, he would maybe encourage me to drink, or I wanted to drink.
What would he drink? Beer or liquor or what?
He'd drink both. He would drink beer, but he would also drink liquor. I can remember drinking vodka, because vodka was something you could get a high with, but you couldn't smell it readily like you could bourbon or...
Would you take it from your liquor cabinet, or would you just buy it?
I guess we'd just buy it or somehow get it. I mean, at that time, the drinking age was 21.
No, it was 18.
Not at that time.
Oh, okay.
There was a time when it was 18. But not in 1965.
And where were y'all living in 65?
We were living in Northern California, north of San Francisco, in a place called Fairfax, which is about 20 miles from San Francisco.
And your dad was in the lumber industry?
My dad was in the lumber industry. He was a salesman. Wholesale. He was in the wholesale lumber business. So he and I think 3 other guys have ownership in a partnership. One of the major offices was in San Rafael. San Rafael is 5 miles from Fairfax. And Fairfax was about 20 miles from San Francisco. San Rafael was a little closer to San Francisco.
Near Mount Tam?
Mount Tamalpais?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Mount Tam?
Isn't that what they call
I don't know, maybe. Yeah, Mount Tamalpais was not very far from where we lived. I mean, you could see it. Interesting. We call those mountains, but they were not really big mountains. But where I live now, in Asheboro, people call mountains were really just little hills, or hills. And they call them mountains. So it's a joke when they say they live on the mountain.
it? So your brother was stocky, played football, is that right?
So my brother was a real good football player.
What did he play?
He played. I don't know if he played linebacker or he was a defensive player on the line. So I think he played linebacker because of his size. He was about 5'8", I think.
And you said your dad was 5'6", 5'7"?
5'7", probably. He was a little shorter than my brother, and I was a little shorter than my dad.
How tall was your mom?
She was probably about 5'2", maybe 5'1", give or take a little bit.
And what were your parents' names?
My dad's name was Bill, or William, and my mom's name was Elizabeth, or Betty.
What did you
by Betty?
What was your dad's middle name?
It was W.W. Ramsay, so the middle W was for Wheeler. William Wheeler Ramsay.
Wasn't that his mother's maiden name?
Wheeler?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I thought they were the Oklahoma Wheelers.
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't know. I'm asking.
I always say Copeland was her maiden name.
That's your mother's maiden name.
My mother. Yeah. Who were you asking about?
Your father's mother's. Your your paternal grandmother.
I'm not sure what her. You're talking about her maiden name? I'm not even sure right now what her first name was.
Okay, that's all right.
So.
So your dad and your mother would go watch the football games with your brother, watch him play defensive linebacker.
Yeah.
And he got hurt in high school?
He got hurt in high school football.
What happened?
So I don't know, I think he tore a cartilage, I believe it was. I think that's right, a cartilage in his knee.
Okay.
And he had
Open?
well, I don't know, he had an operation to repair the torn cartilage. And it was relative, by today's standards, it was very severe. The injury was too, but so was the surgery. Now they've got other ways today of repairing a torn cartilage in a knee, I guess, that's torn.
But he thought he was going to play college football?
Pardon me?
He thought he was going to play college football?
Yeah, he thought he was going to play college football, and he went to San Jose State, but I don't think he was on a scholarship, I don't believe. Probably because of the injury to his knee.
Was he recruited in high school to play?
Yeah, he was recruited in high school to play, but not with a scholarship. So he went to San Jose,
Which was south of San Francisco, right?
south of San Francisco. It's about 40 miles south of San Francisco. And I don't know if he was recruited. He probably was recruited from other schools. But once again, I don't know if they were offering scholarships to him at that time.
And what was his full name?
Michael Allen Ramsay. Pretty sure that's right. Allen. Michael Allen.
That's where Jamie's middle name comes from?
I don't know. Now that you mention it, maybe. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Okay, so he went to San Jose State for a year or so, you said?
Yeah, he was out of school.
You'll have the video. Go to bed.
Okay, sorry. Carry on.
He was out of San Jose?
Amy worked last night
They're making
at the hospital.
Excuses
She got
for me.
home about 8 o'clock or 8:30 this morning. She left, I guess, before 7 o'clock last night.
So we're going to excuse her so she can
So
she
she's
has to
gonna
work
go
this
to bed
evening.
and go to sleep. She's like
A vampire.
she's like a stepson I have who doesn't like to go to sleep after he works all night. So anyway, so Mike,
San Jose State for a
he
year?
was in San Jose
year and a half.
at least for a year, maybe longer. But he basically flunked out because he did a lot of partying. I don't think he played. I don't remember him actually playing on a regular basis in college. I don't remember, and I know we didn't. I don't think we went to any of the football games. And like I say, San Jose is about 40 miles south of San Francisco, and Fairfax, where we were living, was about 20 miles from San Francisco. So that's about, just to go down to San Jose from Fairfax, you're talking about 60 miles.
What was Mike's relationship with his parents like?
Well, it's hard for me to remember. But it was okay. I mean, I don't know.
Did they argue? Did they get along? Did he want to go into the business like his dad?
No, I don't remember mentioning he wanted to go into the business with him. In the first place, my dad passed away in '63, and I was 20, and I was in my started my third year in college. So my brother would have been, so that was 20. I was 20.
And he had a heart attack, is that
So
right?
we think he did.
In Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas. They told us that unless a person died by what do they call it, foul grounds or
Foul play.
foul play,
They wouldn't do an
they were
autopsy.
accosted by someone and killed, that they didn't do autopsies. So we didn't have an autopsy done. We should have, I guess in retrospect, should have insisted upon an autopsy.
Was he ill?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did he have health problems?
Yeah, he had. He was overweight and didn't exercise, and had a strenuous job,
And he smoked?
and he smoked and drank. I mean, he didn't drink a lot, but he would drink some, but he did smoke. And I would assume that probably all led to what had happened to him in Las Vegas. I guess, but again, if it was a heart attack or a stroke. That could have been just from the stress of gambling. You know, maybe he lost a fair amount of money and had the stroke after that. I don't know.
Was he a gambler?
Well, yeah, he would. There was a, yeah. I mean, you know, he wasn't. He wasn't a gambler to the extent of spending all his time gambling.
Did he go to Vegas often?
No, he didn't go to Vegas often, but he did go sometimes. And but as I remember, prior to Las Vegas, though, he would go up to Lake Tahoe, or sometimes to Reno, which is in Nevada, where there was gambling also. And from living in the San Francisco area, which is, I guess you could say Marin County is, it's right across the bay. It's closer to go to Tahoe, or possibly Reno, than it would be to go down to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is way down towards the southern part of Nevada, and really not too far from Los Angeles. And at that time, we're talking about San Francisco to Los Angeles being about 400 miles.
Right.
So it was a
At
lot
that time,
more.
it was 400 miles. It's not that far now.
No, well, not really.
It's still 400 miles.
It's still 400 miles, but the roads were nowhere near as good as they are today. You know, way back then, you know, when my dad died in '63, they were already building interstate highways. But if you go back to the '50s, there weren't any interstate highways, at least not until the late '50s.
And you wouldn't have flown?
No. No. I mean, he might have, but we wouldn't have. Not that I can remember.
So Mike finished school, got out of school, and then what did he do?
Well, he didn't finish school.
Well, school was finished with him.
I honestly don't remember what he did when he first got out of school. I was married in '64, and we saw
At
him.
21?
Pardon me?
You were married at 21?
Yeah. Actually, I was 20. I was going on 21. You know, we were married in September, and we, meaning Carol and I. Carol was my previous wife, and we were married in '64, September, I believe, and I was 21 in December, so I was still 20. I think at that time, that in California at that time, I think that you couldn't get married if your parents were living. You couldn't get married without your parents signing off on the marriage, as I remember.
If you were under 21.
If you were under 21. I'm pretty sure that's the way it was. It may have changed now. There's a lot more people in California now than there was when I was there. I bet there probably is about 40 million people living in California now. 40 million.
So Mike got out of school. You're not sure what he did initially, but you were off getting married.
Yeah.
And he didn't come to the wedding.
Yeah, he did. He did come to the wedding.
Where were you married?
In on the border between Berkeley and Oakland. Well, I think it was in Berkeley.
Was it a big ceremony?
No.
Like justice of the peace sort of thing? Or
Oh, no, it was a minister. Preacher. From the church.
were Mom's parents there?
Mom's parents?
Yes. Carol's parents.
Oh. I was trying to think who you were talking about. No. No, they weren't there. No.
Where were they?
They had moved to Fredonia, New York,
For him to teach?
for him to teach.
And were they aware of the wedding?
Yeah, they were aware of the wedding. Yeah.
Was it commonplace for them not to attend their daughter's wedding?
Well, his name is Lockie McDonald, my father-in-law.
Yes.
He was a professor in philosophy, and he was teaching in Wichita, but he had higher education in physics, and he got a job with Lockheed Martin, or I guess it was Lockheed then, with Lockheed in California, outside of San Jose. And he moved, he and his family, which would have been, at that time, they would have probably had 3 kids move out with them. That would include Carol, my former wife, move out to California. And he got the job with Lockheed and moved to Cupertino, I think it was. And Lockheed was real close to Cupertino. So they rented a house and he worked at Lockheed. Well, that fall, after only a few months of being there, he got laid off. So he moved from the middle of the country, Wichita, Kansas, to essentially San Jose or Cupertino, and got laid off and had to move the family and was in the process of selling his house and so on and so on. And so he was out of a job from at least Thanksgiving time and so he decided, well, he's going to forget about working for the aerospace industry, Lockheed, and he'd go back into teaching. So he looked around the country to find a position where he could get a full professor position, which is the highest position you can have in the academic field, and teach philosophy, and got offered a job and accepted the job at Fredonia, New York, which is one of the colleges. There's many colleges in New York, state colleges, and Fredonia is one of them, and so he took the job there. So he moved his family back from Cupertino to on the other side of the country to Fredonia, New York. In the meantime, and Carol had moved with him. In the meantime, we had decided we were going to get married, and because of their move that they had just made, and him having been out of work, my father-in-law being out of work for 6 months or longer, they just didn't feel like they could make it to come to the wedding.
So did Carol drive back from Fredonia?
Yeah, she drove back from Fredonia to Cupertino.
She drove from Fredonia to California?
Yeah.
By herself?
No, with me.
And how'd you get to Fredonia?
I drove
From California?
from California, yeah. I had a car. And drove, it's a long ways. I had at that time I had an aunt, a real close aunt who lived in Wichita, which is, kind of halfway between California and New York. So I stopped and saw her.
What was her name?
Peary. Her name was Peary.
Peary?
Peary.
What kind of name is that?
Pardon me?
I've never heard that name.
Well, it was probably either
That's her
Irish
last
or
name?
Scottish. Huh?
Her last name was Peary?
No. Her first name was Peary. Her last name was Mulholland.
That was her maiden name? Or was she a Copeland as well? Is she your mother's sister?
No.
She's your brother's?
I think she was. I'm not sure how she exactly fit into the family with Mulholland. I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
How is she your relative?
Well,
She's your aunt.
we always called her aunt, but she may not have been an aunt. My mother was born in 1915, and she was born in Panama, or Panama City, Panama.
Really?
Her dad
Worked on the canal?
either worked on the canal or maybe not. Maybe the canal was constructed by that time. I'm not quite sure. And he may have been working for the government for the canal, overseeing some function in the canal. So he was married to. I can't remember what her name was because I never knew her.
Did you know your grandparents at all?
What?
Did you ever meet your grandparents?
No. From
Neither
my
side?
mother's side, no. mother was born in Panama in 1915, and she died within a very few years after that. And
Your
my
grandmother?
my grandmother on my mother's side, and my grandfather also died, not at the same time, but very close to the same time, in Panama City. So both of those, at least I'm pretty sure this is correct, both of those people died in Panama.
Who raised your mother?
Puri Mulholland.
So she was older than your mother.
Oh yeah, she was definitely older.